Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I am back with another design team project for SaCrafters. And I am going to just let this kind of run. I sped this up about 5 times normal speed so that you can just kind of watch me assemble some of this while I talk. And so Saw has a couple doll houses on her site that are like kits that come with a little bit of furniture in them, but she also has these items which are sold on their own, just doll furniture by themselves, and I wanted to do a project with them. And I wasn't sure, what I was going to do and what I was going to put the furniture into once I got it done. And I just happened to have a little cabinet that I've had for years. I got it at Goodwill like years ago for like $5.99 or $6.99, something like that. And it's been in my craft room and it's had a lot of different purposes. And I was finally not really using it, and I had it in my stack to be redonated back to the Goodwill. And I saw it there and I thought, you know what? Why don't I turn that into a dollhouse cabinet? And it can hang on the wall. And so I thought, it'd be a great thing to have like in the dining room or living room in a corner, hanging kind of at child level, so they can stand there and play with it, while they're visiting and stuff. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to do that. And I got to thinking about it. You could do pretty much any little cabinet or shelf, go to a flea market, go to the Goodwill, just find something. It doesn't even have to have a back in it. You could put chipboard or something if it was like an open shelf with no backing in it. You could put chipboard for a backer, and you could use, I've seen people make little dollhouse room boxes and stuff out of like old radios, the interior of a guitar. I mean, you can take pretty much anything that has some kind of cavity in it and turn it into a miniature display item. And so I decided to go ahead and use this old cabinet for that. And so you can see here I've been assembling all the little pieces, and it's really easy to do. And you just put lots of glue on there and stick the items together. And I just sat down and glued a whole bunch of these up all at the same time and let them dry. And you can see that I had a little bed, I had a bigger kind of armchair, these little chairs, dining chairs, this plant stand, a little round table, just a ton of different stuff from SaCrafters. And actually all the wooden pieces in this cabinet are from SaCrafters with the exception of 3 items. I did purchase a small cradle, some like baking or cooking implements that hang on the wall, and a few little 3D little wooden dishes that I got at my local Joann's that were really inexpensive. So, but everything else is all SaCrafters. And this is a little table that looks like it almost has sawhorses underneath it to hold it up. And I use this as kind of my baking center table. And I also think it would be cool if you did like a room box or something for a little boy. This would be a great workbench in a little shop. And Saw has some little implements like a wrench and hammer and a saw and stuff. So you could totally make one that was more boy themed, with tools and little cars and a workbench and stuff like that. It'd also be great if you took this and used it and made a little barn type of scene. And here's the cabinet that I have. See, it's not that deep. It's got a little door on it with a magnet, and it's just pine, and I am going to take it apart and paint it. And there you can see through the magic of video, I have painted it and started papering the walls and the floors. And I didn't show this because I've shown it in the 2 other SaCrafters dollhouse kits that I did, how to decoupage that on. So I'll try to link the other 2 dollhouses I've made down below so that if you want to see how to do that, there's more detailed instructions there. I also took these 2 SaCrafters windows, and I'm going to put those on the inside of 2 of the rooms so it looks like you're looking outside. So I just grabbed this cloud paper so that it's going to be a nice blue sky with clouds, kind of day outside. And it just adds that little detail to make it look more like a house, even though, there's not like an actual cut opening in the side of the cabinet. It's just going to have a faux look of looking outdoors. And I also have a couple windows. There was like a little set of 3, and they were 3 different sizes. Yeah, these 3 different sizes, and I'm going to use 2 of them to put on the outside like you're looking in. And then there's the little table I put together, and I just want to decoupage a little piece of paper on the top of it. So I'm going to cut out this doily out of this Echo Park, I think it's Echo Park Jack and Jill paper. And it just looked like a big tablecloth to me. So I wanted to put that on there, and then it put a little more teal in that room because the wallpaper in the kitchen area is kind of a soft teal color. And I think in the kitchen I also did like a wainscoting effect on there, and you'll see why, because I want to use the wainscoting to be almost like a shelf, and I have stuff sitting on the wall in there, so you'll see that when we get more to that. And then I'm just using Mod Podge. I think I have the matte Mod Podge, and yeah, in the kind of yellow bottle, and I had to get a whole new bottle of it because I've gone through so much of it over my projects and stuff. So there, I'm just going to center that on, and I tried to leave a little white edge just to make it look a little more defined. And then I'm just going to seal it, and I did seal all the papers that I put on there with Mod Podge just because it'd make it easier to dust, and if there's little hands and sticky fingers on there, be easier to clean them up. So that's one nice thing about these items in a dollhouse like this. They're just really simple items. They're not super expensive like most dollhouse miniatures can. They can run into some money if you get the really fancy ones. And these are ones that, kids can actually play with. You don't feel bad putting it in there and letting them play. If something breaks, you can glue it back together. If it gets lost, it's no big deal. You want to have something that the kids can play with that, you don't cringe when they're playing with it. So there I did the SaCrafters fireplace, and I just backed it with some paper, and then I took the gold embossing powder and embossed the little flames so that they're kind of gold. And I have a lot of gold embossing in that room because it's the most formal room, and it's also going to be one that has one of these windows in it. And then I think the bedroom is the room I put the other window in. And so here are all the little SaCrafters bits that I want to spread around to give it more interest and more detail. So I have this watering can, and I'm going to emboss it with silver embossing powder to make it look kind of like a galvanized watering can. And embossing SaCrafters products works really well because it's just so simple. And I even later took my emboss gloss, which is embossing the glue that has kind of like a lip gloss applicator, and I went around the edges too and embossed silver embossing powder along the edges, just so that when it was sitting or glued to the wall, it would look completely all silver. So there's a little TV, and I actually put a picture of me and my hubby in the TV so that it looks like Grandma and Grandpa are on television. And then these are some little SaCrafters jars, little mason jars, and I used that embossed gloss glue and put silver embossing on the lids. And then I thought I was being smart, and I used these sprinkles from the kitchen. These are like cookie sprinkles and stuff, but it didn't work out because the food coloring on them just kind of ran. Well, only on this one. The other two, it didn't run. So I did wind up kind of scraping this one off and putting a different one on there. So the candy sprinkles don't necessarily always work just because of the food coloring. So you might want to test it and use micro beads instead. but I'm using the glossy accents to go over, and I do it on all 3 jars. And I just wanted it to look more dimensional and more like a real jar. So here is the finished dollhouse, and I'll go through all the different items and stuff that I used in here. And it's all just really simple stuff. The food in there are like erasers, the kids' erasers that look like little cakes. Some of the toys up by the cradle are just some leftover pieces from a bunch of like Monopoly games and stuff where a lot of the Monopoly pieces had been lost. And so I just salvaged a couple of the game pieces to use as toys in there. So on the top I have the kite with the little ribbon hanging down. There's the window looking in, the trellis, and the with the birdhouse above it, the bird bath and the bird, and then my little galvanized watering can. And I just put a few more little roses around there. And that just kind of, makes it look more like a house on the outside. And yeah, I love the little bright, cheery colors and stuff. It gives a lot of detailed things to look at. And then I think I go over to the other side. And I'm sorry this is, not the greatest quality video. It was really hard for me to figure out how to film this because it's so big. So I've got a butterfly kind of flying up towards that other window on this side. And then I've got a little bench with a little street sign. I think it says Cherish Boulevard, and a bicycle and more flowers. And I think it just turned out really cute. It gives a lot of detail, a lot of things to look at, and makes it look a little more realistic. But I also tried to put a lot of items inside that weren't glued on, so it would give them plenty of things to take out and rearrange and play with. I do have to find some dolls to live in here, because you got to have something to, pose and put in the bed and all that kind of good stuff. So I'll be on the lookout for something like that at my Goodwill or something. So there's the door, and I like that it opens really far back so it gets out of the way. And it does have a magnet when it closes, so it'll keep the dust and everything out, when the grandkids aren't there playing with it. And so I have the chandelier and the table, 2 tables, and there are the utensils on the back wall I got at Joann's, and the little dishes I got at Joann's. But everything else there is SaCrafters. The 2 tables, the mason jars on the wall, the chandelier, and the television that are in this room. And you'll see close-ups of some of these other items here coming up. The bedroom, the dress form, the bed, the frame, the hot air balloon, that's all SaCrafters products, as well as these 2 benches, the fireplace, the frame, the guitar, the plant stand. Everything there is SaCrafters products. And then you can see there's also a clock and a bird cage, and I put some gold embossing on those as well. Like I said, there's a lot of gold embossing in this more formal room. I have a couple jewelry charms. That little bird and that camera charm are just jewelry stuff. A couple little crocheted pieces. I did cover the bench and the chair with paper from the same collection I did the wallpaper from. And then I have the little guitar, and then I also gold embossed that one frame. And then the plant stand, I made a thing of flowers, just some roses in it's actually a spent shell casing. So when if you do target practice, save your brass. It works good for being a little vase. And so that is the downstairs room. And like I said, that's the more formal room. Then up here, I love the chandelier. I put a lot of extra little sparkles on it. Makes it look more like a dining room area. On the right there, you can see the little television with me and my hubby on TV. And it just kind of looks like it's sitting on the top of the wainscoting there, or on a little shelf kind of. And then that's an eraser cake. And then just some little wooden dishes you can get in the little wooden pieces section at your local Joann's. And the little wood cooking implements on the wall there are in like the little miniatures section in Joann's. And then the little jars, you can see the different sprinkles I put in the jars. And the 2 little tables. And it just turned out really cute. And then up here in the bedroom, in that frame, I put a picture of both my grandkids playing. So 2 little cousins playing there. I used to put a hot air balloon as decoration on the wall. That cradle was the other thing I bought at Joann's, and saw you could make a cradle like that. Would be so cute if you had something like that in your shop. One that was that size, and maybe one that was big enough to use, big like one of your carriages or sleigh items, so that you could use it as a gift card holder with a few baby booties or something like that. I don't know, just an idea. And then that little dress form I put in there, and another bouquet of flowers, and there's a little baby carriage on the wall. And sorry guys, this is so shaky. Didn't have it on a tripod or anything. I was just trying to get in there so you could see all the different items. So yeah, I put the baby carriage on the wall, and I think I take this out for a second. There's the Monopoly pieces on the floor. They're like toys. And then there's another bouquet of flowers, just to give them a lot of pieces to be able to take out and play with. And here I put some of that flower stuff in the bottom and a little bit of trim around there. And then I also have the flowers on the bottom of the bed, like a little mattress, and then just this piece of lace. I think that's a piece from a Fancy Pants piece of lace. And yeah, so there are some things glued on the walls and stuff, but there's plenty of stuff to take out and play with. And as I find other little items or make stuff from leftover pieces, I'll just throw them in there so that they have plenty to play with. And then this can just be hung on the wall. And this, I took the guitar and I cut off one side of I cut it off so that there's 2 bodies and only one of the necks. So it gives it a little more dimension, makes the body look thicker, like a real guitar. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And so that is how it turned out. There's the little plant stand. I'm going to try to find a little vase, or like maybe make a little vase from the cap of a bottle or something, and do another little display to put in the bottom of that plant stand. But I love how it turned out. Like I said, there's gold embossing in the living room, and then more silver embossing up here in the kitchen area with the television and the jar lids. And there's plenty of stuff to play with. Yeah, I'll probably hang it on the wall and then maybe put a little footstool or something underneath it so they can sit or stand to play in this. And like I was starting to mention earlier, this would also be cute with, making it into like a little barn or stables with little horses, and you could put little workbenches and tack or something. I don't know if you wanted to make a more boy version. Actually, that would be great for boy or girl. If you want to make a boy version, turn it into more like a little shop, a little auto shop or something like that for boys. But, I think boys can play with dollhouses. They need to know how to, take care of children and play house and that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be just fine. And I love how the flowers just kind of cheer the whole thing up and give it lots of extra color. I think I made a list because I'm going to link all the products shown in here down below, all of SaCrafters products. And so I wrote them down, and I think there are 31 different SaCrafters products in this. And what's great is that most of them are ones I had that I had purchased for scrapbooking, but you get a package, some of them with like 2 or 3 items in a package, some of them with more like 6 items, like 6 butterflies in a packet. So I only used one here, and I have plenty more for my scrapbook pages and stuff. So even though it seems like a lot of product, you get more than one use out of the product. So here are some stills, and there is the cabinet kind of at an angle there. And there's the one side, the kind of garden themed side, and then this kind of bench street corner side. It's the view of the bedroom. And I just love how it turned out. I think that this is going to be around for a long time and get a lot of use. And as I find other items and stuff, I'll be putting them in here and filling it up even more. Maybe I'll put curtains on the window, make some pillows or cushions, find some more little food and stuff. So that is my finished project. If you guys have any questions, please just let me know. I will link all the products I use down below in the description box. And if you use the code AngelaFans, when you order from her store, you'll get a 10% discount on purchases of $30 or more. And I'll be sure to put that discount code down below for you as well. And so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.